In this video, we'll be looking at, is prayer for marriage restoration a necessity? My name is John McKenzie, and this is Kingdom Principles. On this channel, we help Christians that are going through marriage separation. We want to help them get through their marriage separation to a point where they have the major situations that they're going through dealt with, so that if they want to work on saving their marriage, then we can help them tackle the goal of marriage restoration. Because there are many things that, if not dealt with properly during separation, will cause major problems when trying to restore your marriage. If you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. And check out the video description below for a link to a free marriage restoration resource area. Is prayer a necessity for marriage restoration? I believe so. I believe prayer is absolutely foundational for a Christian, and even more necessary when you're trying to save or restore your marriage. Having that one-on-one time with God about your situation, where you can pour out your pain, your frustration, your hopes, your fears about what's happened and what has caused it to come to the point now where you're separated. Your prayer time with God also starts opening your heart to the Holy Spirit, where He can start working on you, to change you, to help you become the person God designed you to be. Prayer can facilitate change in both you and your spouse, but you cannot force your spouse to change. The only one that can cause change is the Holy Spirit, and He does that through His tender touch and tender way He works. There's no forcing with the Holy Spirit. And that is done through you lifting them up in prayer before the Lord. What I learned during the first while, after my wife and I separated, is that in my prayer time, when I was asking God to bring my spouse back or to change her mind, He always seemed to change the focus of my prayer from changing them to Him changing me. Especially when I dug down deep into this situation in my discussions with God. And if you seriously want to see your marriage situation change direction from heading into almost certain divorce and start heading towards marriage restoration, you need to change the focus of your prayers to, Lord, how can I become the best husband or wife for my spouse? The one you originally created me to be. Now, this doesn't mean you stop praying for your spouse, but you realize that no matter what you do, you cannot force them to change their mind. You cannot heal their heart. You cannot fix all the wounds. That's God's job. So you tenderly place them in God's hands and pray for their protection and ask Him to heal them, bless them, and rekindle the love that once was there. Now, you working on changing yourself through God's help doesn't mean they were perfect and you were wrong, or vice versa. It means that you're both broken and need time to heal and change. So set aside time every day to take your situation and your spouse to the Lord in prayer. And this goes even more so if you have children involved. The children didn't cause this separation. They are victims of it. So you want to take them to God and request His protection over them for all the stuff that is happening between you two. Take time before the Lord and ask Him to heal the heart wounds in you and in your spouse, as well as your children, and to bind up the broken pieces. Now, to start on your way to marriage restoration, the first main step is a repentant heart before God and asking for His forgiveness. And then asking the Lord to pick up and bind up all those broken pieces. The request for this to be done needs to come from at least one of you. Just realize it doesn't need to be both of you wanting to save your marriage. To save your marriage, it starts with just one person. And that person taking their spouse and the rest of their family to God in prayer. Now guys, I'm talking to you here. Usually, if it's gotten to the point where a woman has walked out, it means they've tried and they've tried, and they feel for some reason they don't have any other choice. And if you want to save your marriage, you'd better realize you're going to have to work harder than you've ever worked on anything. And be ready to be in it for the long haul, working on the restoration. This is some advice from a guy who's been there. And they're going to want to see a real change in you. And that it's not just a change for the short term, but they'll want to see that the change is permanent. And that they don't want to hear you talk about how you've changed. They'll want to see it. I found out the only way to achieve any type of real permanent change in yourself is asking God and letting Him help change you by the power and the grace of the Holy Spirit. Now, if you're brave enough and you want to speed up the change in you, there's a way, but it's going to be painful. It may be one of the most painful and toughest things you ever do. It's by going to your spouse, if you're on talking terms, and asking them what your biggest faults or things you did to cause her to leave. And you're going to listen to what she has to say without responding or commenting back. And if she asks you why you're asking or why you're not responding back, you're going to tell her you want the information on what you need to work on most in yourself. Now, you'll be coming back and asking these types of questions on a regular basis. But make sure you're making real and lasting progress on the previous question that you've asked before working on something new. This stuff takes time and even longer for them to see and trust the changes. Now, it may take time to get down to the real reasons and to get them to open up about them because they're probably buried deep. Now, between the times you're going to them and asking these questions, you'll be taking that information to the Lord and asking Him and the Holy Spirit to help you on fixing these things in you. And to do this, you'll want to try and set a daily prayer routine. Now, if you can ask your spouse these things without responding back or getting into a fight, and actually listen to what she's saying and start working on yourself, and she starts seeing positive changes in you, you'll be able to dig even deeper and keep digging till you're able to deal with the heart of the problem as she sees it in you. Now that's the real starting point. When she starts seeing and believing the changes in you, you may start getting to the point where she starts asking you the same questions. Be truthful, but not long-winded, and don't let it escalate into a fight. This is part of the rebuilding process called communication. Now, it may feel really one-sided, but this is also training you to listen, to understand, not listen to respond. You're not there to formulate your argument. You're there to listen. Be cordial in all other dealings with your spouse, especially surrounding the separation and your kids. Try to work things out equally and fairly in regards to all things. And in doing this, there's a good chance you can work on forestalling any divorce filings and have a chance at repairing or restoring your marriage. So if you need help in these areas, check out our other videos on our channel. Now, it's more than likely this restoration may not happen quickly. It may even take years. But if you're patient, truthful, and sincere, and willing to do what it takes to save your marriage, that just may happen. Now, ladies, feel free to try any of these things as the Lord leads you. And now this all comes down to prayer and being willing to let God work on you to change you into the type of person He created you to be, and trusting Him to work miracles in both your lives and in your marriage. Now, if you would like more information on a powerful prayer for restoring your marriage using the Courts of Heaven principles, I'll put a link above and at the end of the video to a marriage restoration prayer. Now, once you start accessing the Courts of Heaven with these prayers, you'll wish you'd learned about this years ago so that you could have kept your marriage and your relationship from getting to the point where it is now. So, I urge you to look into the Courts of Heaven teaching and start putting it into practice in your marriage, in your family, and in your life. Now, I'm going to place some links to videos on the Courts of Heaven by Robert Henderson in a free marriage restoration resource area that I've put together. The link to it will be down in the description. And in this resource area, there's also going to be other videos that have helped me during my separation, as well as a link to a marriage restoration quiz, a survey, and free PDFs. So I hope this helps you. And if you got value from this video, please click the like and subscribe button. And click on the notification bell to be alerted when we post new videos. And please take time to check out our other videos, as well as the link to our resource area that's in the description below.